Hello again. Here I am again. Slightly different setup, yes, because I was sort of sitting here and normally I can also sit over there, but change. And that's my hoovering machine over there. So that's also my little Mother Mary statuette over there that you've maybe seen before. So I hope you're okay. I just felt like I really should, do one more proper vlog this week at least, because interesting developments really, and all sorts of, I don't know, things tying in with each other. I'm just what I'm going for here is going to be fairly subtle and maybe even impossible to explain. I don't know, but I'm going to have a go anyway, and we will see what happens, okay? So, first thing, let me just try and sort of get my thoughts in order here, because I've been watching a couple of different things that made an impression on me in the past couple of days on YouTube. And I should say really that the first thing that made a ton of an impact, that really has had quite an impact on me, is I've been watching videos by people who consider themselves non-binary gender, if that makes any sense to you. So to me, this is quite a bit of a big deal, because I've always, because I've been married for 32 years, and my husband and I have always sort of assumed, the things that our parents assumed on this end. We have never thought of ourselves other than man, woman. And I must say that at this moment, I take away from the whole gender discussion a sudden realization that apparently, to me at least, there's fluidity. Yes, it doesn't mean necessarily that I will suddenly start dating girls. It's highly unlikely. I think. And I'm not interested in any more, drama or romance. The interesting thing about the videos that I was watching, maybe I should link a couple in the description box below for you to have a look at, is that there are terms and sort of definitions or approaches that are being talked about where it is suddenly not about men and women anymore. It's not about limited roles, like this much, actually, like that, maybe, in a way. I have seen myself, maybe that's the only thing I can really sensibly say about this. I can talk for myself and I can talk a tiny bit for my husband. We've talked about this, and we have felt it to be considerably lightening and liberating for us to suddenly realize that male and female only go so far. Masculine and feminine, which is just the same, a slightly more highbrow, slightly higher class version of male and female, as far as I'm concerned. I'm Dutch after all, we have male and female in our language. So, but even then, these only go so far. And in a society and in a culture where we influence each other constantly from birth, is it really very surprising that what we do end up expressing ourselves as will be a mixture, and neither and both, and why does it even have, why is gender even a thing? One of those funny characters that I was watching, she said, she. I'm using she in the best possible way. Forgive me, because as far as I'm concerned, she is good, okay? But that's just my definition. And she said, my gender is breakfast, and my pronouns are toast and toast self. I thought that was hysterical. That's just been trotting around my brain for the past 24 hours. Toast self. I mean, really, that's just my sense of humor there. That's perfect for me. Anyway, the other thing that sort of ties in with this, I've been watching parts of the Body Acceptance Self-Worth Saturday series, because it kind of really ties in with everything. But there is another sort of to me, another variant of the theme of what I see is our true identity in here, is this mysterious world full of possibilities and talents, and maybe also a couple of limitations, I don't know, and it has a ton of its own types of expression, and it has an endless mystery. And then over the top of that, we have this very thin veneer of the identification, which isn't the same thing, duh. It doesn't even cover up any of the, luckily it doesn't cover up any of the interesting sculpture underneath. It's just a veneer, and that's what we try to throw at each other, and what history and culture throws at us is basically layer upon layer of stuff that's always been on the outside. So it isn't really anything there. There isn't really anything. It's all smoke and mirrors, basically. So I found that, especially also coming from this baby awareness phase that I've described a couple of videos earlier, last week and the week before that, I was all of a sudden, all over because of that. And it was just so, it's been extraordinary being a part of that again, and being a part of having that come into my life. And so there's all this comes together. Like, it's actually, I'm trying to say, what am I trying to say here? It's basically that I am finding freedom in unexpected places, and mostly in myself. And I'm also finding cohesion, which is extraordinary, I don't mind saying. Basically because, okay, so I am female. Am I female? Is my body female? I anatomically, hair-wise, eyes, and build of my skull and all the rest of it, bone structure, even nails and stuff like that, I think I resemble my dad most of all, compared to my mannerisms and the way I speak, other than the moving of the hands, which I think is totally me. But the mannerisms are more my mum's, that I've inherited because I spent the earlier part of my life with her, basically only with her. So I copied her mannerisms and her, this type of, that's her, that's my mum there. And laughing and waving of hands is me. So, but genetically and physically, the substance of me, even me, I remind myself of my dad, from what the head looks like, the mug face picture looked like. So I've never seen myself. I have seen this resemblance to my dad since forever, since I was, 16 years old or so. So that's a while ago. And I have never seen that sort of chunkiness and robustness and all that as very feminine ever. Duh. So high heels, you know, as a student when I was 20 years old, I used to walk on high heels now and again. And I've hated the level of attention that I get from everybody, especially men. If I wear heels and put makeup on, I get a ton of attention that annoys the living Christ out of me. So I don't do it anymore. Goodbye, mascara. Oh, I am so sorry. I miss you terribly. Nah, I don't. So that's my story. Oh, this does me good actually to say this because, ugh. And bras. My nightmare at the moment is bras because in this country it's actually possible to get bras that don't have the wire harness in them because apparently anatomically I don't have the same shape as the wire harness has. So what ends up happening is the harness works its way either into my flesh, which is very uncomfortable, especially if it's ever so slightly out of, warmer, or I go crazy after. And I have to wear those when I have to wear those. Yes, I do feel like I have to wear those when I go out, other than just up back and forth to the supermarket, which is over yonder, just like 200 meters or so. Other than that, normally, and I will always cover up, I'll always feel I'm quite self-conscious about the boobs because of the way people look at me. Not because I don't like my boobs are fine. I don't, they're just part of the apparatus. They're fine. I'm fine. Only don't assume, and that's the whole thing that I recognized and related to, like, all the way in those LGBT non-binary people. And I just went like, if only, and I realize now that earlier, say a year ago or so, I would have tried, I don't know, to post comments to that effect and to make some type of establish some type of I don't think I said anything now. I just watched a couple of videos and I was impressed at how relatable it felt to me. And I didn't even connect the dots completely. However, I did manage to order a wireless bra, if that's a thing. So I can't receive any radio stations on my bra. Stupid. I know. It's silly. And never mind. Sorry. I have got, yes, it still has to come. It will probably come this afternoon. So yay me. I've got, I'm going to have a thingamajig that'll just have elastic parts. It's all made out of fibery, cottony, stretchy stuff. And it'll just hold the girls in place because bouncing is out of order, apparently. Because you get all this attention. Because I feel like, what do you want to ask females? Here we go again with the word. Yes, we have this apparatus around our bodies, and the whole of all of this, is made to apparently produce and look after and care for children. I've always said, genetically and hormone-wise, because there's that also, isn't there? If I hadn't decided against it, and if I hadn't listened to my mum who's decided against it, I would have had 5 kids, no problem, one after the other. And I suppose motherhood would have been fine, only then I wouldn't be here talking to you guys, and it wouldn't have had all the interesting developments because I wouldn't have had the focus and I wouldn't have had the development, the growth inside that I personally prize beyond gold and diamonds, because there are so many fantastically interesting new dimensions coming to me at the moment. And that's basically also why I want to come on and talk to you again about this, because so there's this whole layer of us also having this conversation about who is interested in being what and what does it really mean, and male and female are really actually not a part of the conversation at all. The fluidity, however, is interesting, and the fact what's really interesting to us at the moment, and to me especially, is that after 32 years of a cis or hetero marriage, if you want to call it that, there are reasons for us to be interested in letting go of the whole dichotomy and thing between male and female, between us. And all I want is for us to accept each other as we are. And so that conversation that went really well, I must say. I'm extraordinarily pleased at how he picked that up, because it was like, I guess I have said it in some way that it meant a complete relief for him also to not have to be this, I don't know, this assumption of a person. It's always the assumptions and the expectations, isn't it? It's the expectations of the other guy's expectations. And so what happens is that I, on the television, watch Say Yes to the Dress with him, and he watches Top Gear with me. So you go figure it out. I don't have to figure this out. It has been figured out for us. From there, that was just part one of my tale, basically. The fluidity, non-binary interest in things happening at the moment. And the new bra and all that is, gonna help also. But what I found is that it's actually possible to take a person that you love so much into your baby awareness. And that sounds completely freaky in a marriage, between partners, but it worked. And so I don't want to go into too much detail of that. There isn't really all that much detail, because like I said last time about this, baby awareness isn't really about anything, any particular activity or any particular emotion or any particular memory or any of it. It's very receptive and open and basically very grateful. It's just a very strong gratitude for life in that. So that's one way I would certainly describe that feeling. It's like, because this has come to me, because it has sort of grown back into my regular consciousness and I can feel it, it's right there. I have become kind of more innocent again, which is awesome, great. And so because of the innocence, you sort of don't need to value anything. You don't need to rank things with respect to each other. It's all complete acceptance, so that's marvelous. And the most subtle detail to this whole sort of sharing the good vibes in my life at the moment was that I could see somehow, and that's maybe what I'm trying to also put into words with you here, the baby awareness and the sharing of the baby awareness together with someone you care about deeply is actually an expression of Shakti energy. And that's what I have been sort of pushing ahead of me in the past couple of days, because I wanted to say that, but because it's a next level Shakti experience, really. And somehow the thing that the nature of the Shakti energy does to me is to go towards this type of sharing. And it works. And it's there is a deep sense of continuity there. There's a deep sense of cohesion and of, I suppose, growth. And I don't know, I think you just need completely new words to really put in, to sort of elaborate what it is on about. Maybe I can illustrate it with a tiny bit of a description of the dream that I had this morning, which was like a long, weird, trippy walk in what looked like a series of endless caves, large caves. And I was looking for somebody, and it was very vague. And there were huge boulders, and I'm also reading Tony Hillerman. That's a writer in the 70s and 80s who did crime novels based in southwestern America, United States, Arizona, and places like that. I have to still look a lot of these things up in on Google Maps or Earth to know exactly where, because I've never been there myself. But it's I like his descriptions. His atmospheric descriptions are really pretty, and he's got a lot on the different type of Indian tribes that live there and all that. So that's quite cool. So that's probably why the sort of the background for the dream of the caves. That's what I'm saying here, you know. But the extraordinary sense that I had when I woke up, it took me like half an hour at least to get my brain more or less in gear to get up and go, you know, make tea or something. Because in the cave there was like this, it was a series of caves, and it just went on forever, and it was like parts of it was canyon as well, and there were people living there, and I had to, at one point I had to move through a house and hide from somebody who was there, a father figure, and there was actually a daughter figure who helped me through the door out the other side. And she was like she was mute, she couldn't speak, but she could communicate with me like non-verbally somehow, so it was quite interesting and slightly recognizable, you know, symbol wise or archetype wise. I can see where this comes from. Oh yeah. But I was still looking for this person. I don't think I found him in the end, but there were, yeah, whatever details and bits, and not all that, otherwise not that completely telling, but the overwhelming sense was of loss of identity. So there's the loop again, back to my earlier themes. It's like what I'm saying here with my dream is basically, it feels to me like there's this whole huge world of mystery again that is part of us, part of me. But it doesn't have names. It doesn't have even a sense of identity, except I do recognize these long caverns as being a part of self. So Shakti energy will do that. It will sort of continually invite me to embrace sorts and types and kinds of self that are really self. Only I have to sort of juggle for myself to establish some type of relationship with that, I suppose. To make contact. Once I've got contact, like in this dream, I get some type of contact that just happens to me. And then what do I do? Because down there are no names. There are certainly no genders. There are no real directions. So this is like almost below the baby awareness thing. It's like the baby awareness is only like, again, one phase It's only one layer, one time period where it was like that. And I'm not that anymore. It's like a, I respect that part of me, and that helps me to come into contact with these vibrations of gratitude and receptivity and openness and acceptance, and that's crucial. That's crucial. But everything is only a gateway onward, right? In real life, in our identities. So I felt like I needed to say all that. It feels kind of good now that I'm saying it also, because I get kind of tired with people always worrying so much about the identifications. I have to be blah. And I wasn't anything. I wasn't anybody. For the longest time of my life, I was an actual nobody walking around on two legs. And I have done this soul retrieval exercise and all the rest around it and after it to get some type of, I don't know, some type of a sense of being a person again. But if it means being a person, if that means hooking myself up to all sorts of identifications, then where am I? What good does that do to me? It'll only lead me to depression and limitation and discontent, malcontent, lack of contentment. I don't know how to put that. Restlessness, and it'll apparently, that's my big word always in these things, apparently that's not how it works for me. So I have to be free. I have to, because I don't have a choice, and because it's been ordained, yes, since day one, that I wasn't going to be any of those stereotypes, any of the, and I was miserable most of the time, and there is a certain sense of being triggered by this huge emptiness in those caverns and the lack of stimulus or the lack of direction. There was a sense of, but in fact it does have that function, and it's actually the same thing, only I have changed, so I can interpret it better. At least now I can interpret some of those aspects and look at those types of atmosphere, and especially in a dream. That's priceless, right? When you get a dream like that, it's like a gift from inside. And the inside bit is what I'm really interested in, because apparently it's what I'm supposed to be doing. So, lengthy tale, windy ramble. I'm not quite sure this is going to make sense to anybody. If you haven't already watched at least 10 of my other weird convoluted tales. So if you're still here, thank you ever so much. And let me know what you think. What you think. What do you think? Okay? Have a nice day. Have a nice rest of the week, whatever it is. And because I will probably be back next week or sometime. And won't post quite every day. The coming couple of, weeks or so, at least, because, summer and holidays and things like that. So enjoy yourself, please, and see you again sometime soon. Bye-bye.